The Kenyan opposition camp, led by the Murima Crusader, is in the interest of time finding themselves between a hard place and a rock, for up to now they may fail to understand who's better to field so that he could unseat President William Samoei Ruto. And in this episode, let me just decipher a number of hypotheses as to why Kalonzo, deputized by Fred Matiang'i, stands a better chance of winning against President William Samoei Ruto. First, I just have to consider the coalition of unity hypothesis. This is a hypothesis that extensively shall work to their advantage if, now that they are in the opposition, they will mainly focus on consolidating their entire opposition under their grip. And this is simply to mean if Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, Martha Karua, and the former deputy president can come up with a unified ticket against President William Samoei Ruto, then they are likely to be a hand away from the certificate of winning. But if they remain speaking at competing interests, a fragmented opposition has always worked to the incumbent's advantage, and that is simply to mean that if they remain disgruntled, then I kid you not, that shall serve as an advantage to President William Samoei Ruto. And speaking of the second hypothesis, it is greatly on the anti-incumbency wave, and this is simply to mean if economical challenges continue suppressing millions of Kenyans as they are currently, I kid you not, voter fatigue could create an anti-incumbency sentiment. And this is simply to mean if people shall completely get tired of President William Samoei Ruto in his first 5-year tenure, I kid you not, on the D-Day of the election, they could overwhelmingly come out to vote for one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Okengo Matiang'i as their only hope for the next 5 years. And that is simply to mean millions of Kenyans will have automatically sent President William Samoei Ruto back to Sugoi. Speaking of the third hypothesis, it is only going to favor Kalonzo Matiang'i ticket is the Mount Kenya realignment hypothesis. Remember, this is a region that was very instrumental in President William Samoei Ruto's victory in the last general election. And right after him betraying a son of their own, the Murima Crusader, they have currently shown all the telltale signs of shifting their allegiance. And if the whole region rallies behind Kalonzo Matiang'i ticket, I kid you not, President William Samoei Ruto's journey to Sugoi or to his recently built home at Kilgoris, it actually shall be next to impossible to stop it. And speaking of the fourth hypothesis, it is extensively on the economic performance. If millions of Kenyans shall have to consider several factors like the economy in President Ruto's tenure, I kid you not, they may not be forced to think twice for Kalonzo Matiang'i ticket as their only hope. Now that many people were poor right after Uhuru exiting the stage, but in Ruto's 2 year in office, he's made them completely poorer. So there are several nitty-gritty factors that, if at all, millions of Kenyans are likely to consider. They stand a very good chance of sending President William Samoei Ruto home using the Matiang'i Kalonzo ticket. And one among the other, or last but not least, the last hypothesis is on the voter hypothesis protest, simply because millions of Kenyans across the political divide, from the look of things as of the time of this broadcast, they are completely angered with President William Samoei Ruto's style of governance. And if that is something they are to take into consideration at the ballot, I kid you not, they are likely to come out in large numbers as a protest just for them to vote out President William Samoei Ruto in the next general election. And if so be the case, that shall tantamount to directly voting in Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Okengo Matiang'i. But from where I sit, it actually still remains a wait and see situation. And as I come to the penultimate part of this episode, that has just been my opinion. If by any chance you do have a contrary opinion to mine, you can as well just feel free to drop them in the comment section, and I'll give them a right of reply. And by any chance, if you've been watching my videos and you've not subscribed, you can as well just consider hitting on the subscribe button. Thank you, and may God bless you.